Today's video will be about fabricating an alternator support bracket and what's really important about it. Hello, welcome to ET Garage. I'm Eugene Tordo, and like I was saying, today's video is going to be about fabricating a alternator support bracket or rod, whatever you want to call it, and what you need to know that's really important about it. And this here is the original factory support bracket that goes on the back of the alternator. I'll show you the location here in a minute. This can't be used with the aftermarket headers. I had to fab one up out of an old jack handle. Now, there's nothing wrong with the one I fabbed up. I just don't like it. I just don't like the way it looks. So I'm going to be cutting the center section out. And I took a old rod from a old shock absorber. Cut it and drilled it out just to lighten it up. I didn't need to really drill it out, but it just I just had the time, and why not? So let me move the camera around and I'll show you what we're going to be doing and what's really important when it comes to your alternator, when it comes to fabricating up brackets that most people don't realize. All right, hopefully you guys can see this good. Here's the alternator, the bracket or support rod that I made out of an old jack handle, and the original bracket would have gone from a bolt, would have been something like this, and went to that bolt right down there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but with the headers you can't do that. So you have to fab up a custom one, which I did out of this old jack handle. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just don't like the way it looks. So, like I said, I am going to take this rod and this rod, cut this up, and make it the appropriate length, and weld it together, and then paint it, and all that good stuff. Or is it like this? Yeah, I think it would be more like that, but anyway, I'll figure that out once I get it all on, get everything aligned up, cut, and all that stuff. But what's really important with an alternator is that it be grounded. So if you paint or powder coat your brackets and bolt your alternator on, it's not going to be grounded because of that thick layer of paint or powder coating. So you have to make sure it's grounded. These areas here on the bracket, I sand it where they make contact with the alternator, so I ain't worried about that. And you can also test the ground of the body of the alternator with an ohm meter to the block or something like that. But this aftermarket alternator I have on here actually recommends that you run a separate ground wire right from the alternator back to either a ground point or the battery. I can't remember which one, but I know I have a good ground. Like this bracket right here, I have it sanded on both sides, so it's grounded to the alternator, and the same down where it bolts to the header. So I know it's grounded good to the block, and I never had this alternator's been on here for quite a while now, zero problems. So if it's not grounded properly, it's not going to charge properly, and it'll probably burn up your alternator. So that's important. That's what you really need to know whenever you fabricate brackets for an alternator on a car, that the body is grounded. If you're not sure if the body needs to be grounded or not, always just refer to the factory service manual, or if you buy an aftermarket alternator like I do, check with the manufacturer or follow the instructions. Anyway, let's get working on this and this bracket, and then we'll get that old one off and start lining everything up. Hopefully I cut this one long enough. Of course, I won't know until I get it all in there. Should be. Yeah. For now, I'll just split this right in two, and then I'll see about getting measurements, and I'm hoping that this rod will fit inside this rod without too much work. Worst case, I'll have to machine this down and stick it in the lathe, turn it down, and get it to fit in there or open this up. We'll see. Let's get to work. All right, cut them basically in two. I just eyeballed it, and length doesn't need to be exact because I'll probably cut them equal lengths at some point, and then adjust when I get them in here, adjust them appropriately. This is a lot thicker than I thought, so I can either drill that out or machine this down, slide it in, and weld it. Maybe I'll do a combination of the two. Hopefully I didn't hollow this out too much, because if I did, then I ain't going to be able to turn this down enough to get in there. But I'm going to have to clean this up, get some measurements, and see. And I still have room to drill this out, though, so that's not the... That's probably what I'll do. Drill that out and then weld these together. But first I got to take the old bracket off and figure out exactly my orientation and all that stuff. So let me do that. All right, I have the alternator bracket off, and I went ahead and removed my air oil separator to clean this, give me more room here. And the factory bracket actually has two different ends. One has a big hole for that stud on the exhaust manifold. The other has a small hole where it bolts to the alternator. So I'm going to put that one down there. And then, first I'm going to cut this off cleaner and drill it out so I can fit this in there. And then I'm going to slide it in and start sizing it up. And I'm going to have to heat this end and bend it because at a different angle, and the same with this. I'm going to have to heat that and bend it and heat it at a different angle. But let me go ahead and clean the cuts up on this, and then fit one end and all that good stuff, and then we'll determine the length and fit it all. Okay, here you can see I machined it out, and then I went ahead and wire wheeled it and ground it a little bit. Drilled this piece out, and this I turned down on the lathe. I did hammer this in, making a nice snug fit, which is nice. I'm still going to weld it. But for now, let's see. I got to determine the length and then determine the angle that I need to bend this and all that stuff. This is where making it threaded maybe might be an advantage, and then I could thread it to length, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get the other end made up and cut the length on this that I need, and this end here, and see what I come up with. Hopefully it'll look real good when I'm done. Of course, then I got to paint it, and then once I paint it, I still got to make sure I sand these ends so that it makes metal-to-metal contact when I bolt it in, so I have a good ground. Okay, this is where I'm at. I got both ends bent to where I want them. I did have to heat and bend them several times to get the right angle. I bolted it all in place. It needs to be welded. This is pressed in, but it still needs to be welded, this end here. This here I need to mark with a marker. And then I'll have to take it in my basement where my welder is and weld these up. And I'm happy with that. That's a lot better looking than this big clumsy thing here. Hopefully you can see the difference. Takes up less room. I think it's a couple ounces lighter, you know, if you're worried about weight, but that looks a lot better. Once it's welded and painted, I'll mount it on there and it'll be good to go. I feel it's a lot better looking than like this one here. This big clumsy thing. It was made from a jack handle. This did its job though. I never had any problems with a belt coming off or anything. This bracket, as far as I can tell, the engineers have a bracket going from here to the back of the alternator, because when the belt's under tension and running, it wants to pull it this way and go that way, and this is just to prevent it from doing that. I've heard of people installing headers and not reusing the rear bracket and never having any problems. I need a new rubber grommet for the alternator. Yeah, right there. But that's something else. Yeah, so I'm going to weld that up, paint it, and this job will be done. Okay, here it is the next day. I went ahead, welded it, and painted it, and, well, ground it down a little bit, ground my welds down, because my welds aren't the nicest. And then I just went and wire wheeled the ends to get the paint off so it'll have good ground. And this baby's ready to go in. So let's go install it. Okay, that's an improvement. I mean, it's only a slight improvement, but I think it looks a lot better than this big bulky thing. It takes up less space underneath the engine compartment, which is always a good thing. And hopefully you guys can see that good. You might not be able to see the big difference in this video, but to me it's a big difference, and I'm glad I did it. I finally got around to doing it. But let's end this video. Okay, that's all done. Just one small project. That was actually pretty easy. If I wasn't filming, I could have done it easily in half a day. I didn't bother filming welding because my welding isn't the greatest anyway. Like I said, I ended up dressing it up with the grinding wheel and all that stuff. But it looks a hell lot better than this clumsy looking thing. That's what I had on there for years. I just used basically the original bracket and an old shock rod. If you're wondering what the shock absorbers came out, these came off a set of Edelbrock shocks that were on the rear of an S10 I used to have, and they just basically rotted away driving here in Pennsylvania. And I just cut them open to see what's inside, and decided to save the rods in case I could use them one day, and I did. So for the paint, I just used some Duplicolor caliber paint I had laying around, and let it dry overnight, and quick paint job, and I'm happy with it. So that's about it. That's it for this video. Remember, if you send out any of your brackets or anything to be powder coated, or if you paint them, you know, especially for the alternator, you want to make sure you clean these surfaces that make contact with the alternator. Make sure it's grounded. That's what's really important. And if you fab up a bracket, same thing. Make sure it's grounded. If not, run a ground wire, separate ground wire, if you want to be sure. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope everybody has a great day, and God bless.